This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.
Welcome back to the show. We are so excited to be here with Astraea Healing Connection and really excited to talk to their founder. That's right. Joining us today live on the show, Kristina Terzieva joining us here. And we're going to talk to her today more about all the work she's doing and, of course, how she can work with you, whether it's sound healing, Reiki healing, training. There's so much that she does. And again, she's on a mission. I'm going to let her speak for herself. Tell us what that mission is.
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for the generous introduction. Well, the mission of Astraea Healing Connection derives from the tenets of Hermetic philosophy: as above, so below; as within, so without; as the universe, so the soul, and lies in improving the connection among body, mind, and soul. The ultimate goal being assisting clients in bringing about balance on every level. Thus, the services that I offer incorporate several energy healing modalities. As you mentioned, Reiki and sound healing are a couple of them, and also voice spectrum analysis, which incorporates aspects of sound healing and medical astrology. More specifically, in terms of the Reiki training and Reiki healing that I offer, those are the traditional Usui Reiki, based on the traditional Usui system. And in terms of the sound healing, I use different types of crystal balls. Some of them are infused with the different gemstones. Others are just pure quartz crystal balls. And finally, the last and perhaps the most interesting modality, it is the voice spectrum analysis, which, as I mentioned, incorporates parts of sound healing and medical astrology. And more specifically, it is based on the astrological chart at the time of one's birth, and it is used as the blueprint to interpret what frequencies might be either stressed or missing in one's voice. What I do with the voice spectrum analysis is I have a conversation with a client, and we determine what frequencies in one's voice may be either missing or stressed or maybe more prominent than others. And then we correlate that to the birth chart. Interestingly, there is a note which corresponds to each constellation. And so we try to bring the above and the below into balance. After the session, I usually prescribe some chanting, be it chanting mantras or just humming along to a specific frequency. And this is how we harmonize the energy of the body with the energy of the astrological blueprint at the time of birth. So this is sounds a little bit fancy and complicated, but it is very straightforward and a lot of fun too.
We're going to break that all down. There's so much to you and the work that you offer, and we're going to talk more about Reiki, what it means, how it works, and how you're using it to, work in a sense with somebody's body and energy. And before we get there, I just want to know more about you first. Could you give us a little bit of your background and tell us where you're from and how you discovered this? And then we'll break it down as far as the specifics of what that you have to offer. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so I would say that the business in itself is a relatively new practice. I established it in 2022, but it rests on years of me working in the field of holistic health, be it on myself, my family, or as a volunteer with various clients that have been referred to me on volunteer basis through different communities. And so my Reiki practice has been most extensive. I received my first Reiki attunements over 20 years ago in the very distant year 2000. And then I proceeded with Reiki 2 and Reiki 3 until later on I finally became a Reiki master, since I felt a calling to work with Reiki energy. Interestingly enough, the person who introduced me to Reiki was an artist in residence at a small community college, which I attended in New Hampshire, that is in the northeast of the continental United States, for anyone who might be listening from outside of the US at this time. Regrettably, the college no longer exists. It was a very small one, but that artist in residence worked with puppets, and I enrolled in one of her puppetry courses there, and she basically introduced me to working with Reiki as one of the techniques that we use to activate our hands before we did rehearsals, before we actually did performances with the puppets. There is a saying that the soul of the puppet is in the palm of the hand, and Reiki is a holistic health modality which can be applied hands-on or via a distance, but at the time using hands-on Reiki on kind of activating the soul of the puppet, so to speak, before performances was almost a magical experience. So I worked with her a little bit and did get my first attunements when I was in New Hampshire, and then later on I went off to college and did other things, but I kept returning to Reiki as a way of balancing myself and also working with others to on ad hoc basis. So this brought me later on to the Reiki 2 activations and finally Reiki 3 much later. But in terms of my philosophy, if I may describe it, so as far as the holistic health approach, that dates back to my late teens, I would say, when I was introduced to Hermetic philosophy by an energy healer in Bulgaria. I'm Bulgarian by birth, but my family moved over to the US in the late 90s for various reasons. And so this is where I am right now in the US. So going back to the late 90s, I found Hermetic philosophy very fascinating. And more specifically, that principle, which I began with as above, so below, stood out to me the most and kind of defined my life path and life choices ever since I was introduced to this philosophy. On a more mundane level, I have come to understand astrology as the connection between the above and the below. And in my quest for self-discovery, I often consult astrology charts for answers to questions or life's dilemmas. At one point in time, I felt the need to branch out and go beyond the planetary charts and obtained an asteroids chart showing the position of approximately 17 asteroids at the time of my birth. And it so happened that the main belt asteroid 5 Astraea, named after the ancient Greek goddess of justice and purity, happened to be conjunct with my north node, which combined with the focus on holistic health gave rise to the name Astraea Healing Connection. And here I would like to take a brief detour and explain why this alignment matters and what it means. In most simple terms, the North Node in astrological chart represents the direction in which we are going. On some level, it can be seen as a factor that defines our life path and shows us our life lessons. My North Node lies in Virgo, and the asteroid Astraea being conjunct with the North Node is also in the constellation of Virgo. Interestingly, Astraea is at home in Virgo. That is her home constellation, okay. And therefore it kind of came so natural to me, even though it doesn't sound natural at first glance, that I should call the practice Astraea Healing Connection, just to reflect this principle as above, so below. And so this is how I ended up establishing the practice entirely based on this principle, which, as I mentioned, may sound abstract, but it has been my guiding principle ever since. And in terms of what motivates me as a holistic health healer, I would say that I find this type of work energizing and fulfilling in and of itself. When I give a session or discuss energy healing, I feel a sense of connection with myself, and I consider it to be my calling on a deeper level, even though, as most people, I do have a daytime job as well, which is something very, very different from holistic health, but it allows me to maintain the holistic health practice in and of itself.
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing all this. And there's still so much more to get to know. And there's a lot more notes that we're going to get through. So where did you want to take this next?
So at first, I would like to discuss a couple of misconceptions that people might have about energy healing and Reiki specifically. I know that a lot of people may be new to this modality and may be wondering if it is faith-based, if one can corrupt the energy and so forth. And the answer is no to both. It is not faith-based, and no, you cannot corrupt Reiki energy in any way, shape, or form. As mainstream as this modality can be, I still encounter prospective clients, especially among those who are interested in the training component, who ask if Reiki can be misused in a way that could potentially harm either themselves or the client. And the answer is no. I'd like to spell out clearly that Reiki is an energy of non-duality, meaning that one cannot cause harm or misuse it in any way, be it unknowingly or through intent. To put it differently, you cannot corrupt Reiki energy in any way. When it flows, it works only in one's highest good, and it does work regardless of whether we believe in it or not.
Do you need permission though to like how do you send someone energy Reiki healing? Is it something where you could do for anyone or you need their permission first? How does that part work?
So there are different schools of thought, and different practitioners might give you a different answer. And the most common question that arises is, what if someone is in a coma and you want to assist with their
Oh,
healing? Do you have to ask for permission, and how does this work? And the way I would put it is, naturally, you would do Reiki when someone asks you to. You wouldn't just go around and say, oh, I'm going to do Reiki to everyone,
yeah.
everything that I meet on daily basis.
Yeah.
That said, if there is a situation where the person receiving Reiki is not in a position to make a decision for themselves, then you can send it with the intent that it be received only when and if it is welcome by the individual at the highest level of their highest self. So it is not, if they choose to turn it down, they can. And as an energy practitioner, I have experienced when people choose to stop I wouldn't say stop the energy flow, but decided this is no longer needed. And the energy practitioner is going to feel that the energy is no longer flowing. And that would be a clear sign that this is it, basically. But it is not an instance of manipulating one's will, so to speak. So we send it out with the intent that it be received if it is welcome, but it is not going to harm the person. If the person does not welcome it, it is just not going to get to them.
Got it. Thank you for answering that. I appreciate it because some people, I'm sure, are wondering how this energy works. And we could do it this way over Zoom, like we're talking right now.
Yes, we could do it this way over Zoom while we're talking right now, and I'm a big fan of distance Reiki. I've been using it for myself and for family members and clients as well. Actually, my practice is entirely online. I don't have an in-person studio,
Yeah.
so everything that I do via distance, because this is the essential the essential nature of energy healing, that it can transcend distance. You don't have to be present in the same room. And this brings me to another misconception which I wanted to discuss briefly with you, and that is that has to do with the effectiveness of energy healing. As I
Sure.
mentioned earlier, one doesn't have to believe in it in order for it to work. There is no
Wow.
placebo effect. One's mindset also doesn't impact whether or not a certain modality would be helpful in a given treatment. Energy healing is vibrational in nature, and it works through the principle of entrainment, which is a way of harmonizing and aligning with a specific frequency. Thus, the outcome and the impact of the treatment do not depend on one's belief system and one's predisposition towards the respective energy or healing modality. And that principle of entrainment is most visible and most tangible through sound healing. When we use crystal balls, or when we decide to tone to a specific frequency using a single crystal ball, we notice that as we play the crystal ball and we decide to either hum or chant, be it a mantra or just sing a song to ourselves, we would notice that soon enough we are going to start singing within the
Yeah.
frequency of that crystal ball that we are using to tone to. So this is applied principle. This is the applied principle of entrainment. This is how energy healing works. So it is basically energy vibration. You don't have to have a specific mindset for it to have an impact on you.
Amazing. And could you specifically explain what sound healing actually is? And I know we're going to go down the path of, really the whole holistic approach of all that you're doing.
Yes, the most simple way of describing sound healing is creating a safe container through sound, which enables the body to activate its own self-healing
Okay.
potential and self-healing powers. That is what most energy healing modalities do anyway. But sound healing is very powerful in a way that it basically, again, transcends time and space, and you don't have to again, you don't have to be in the mood for that. You can just listen to a specific frequency, and as you listen, you entrain with it. So you basically allow your body and allow your mind to soak in that vibration. And as you do, that creates a favorable environment in which the body can activate its own self-healing powers. In other words, none of these modalities is meant to fix anyone or to make them think differently, but they're meant to create that safe space and safe container where the body can start healing itself on its own.
Beautifully said. Thank you so much. And also, you've been doing this, you mentioned since 2022 as far as your own practice, and working so hard to help so many with all three of these modalities in a sense, how you're using them together separately and all really, you mentioned to increase someone's energy, vitality. And could you share some of the experience and stories of your clients, and how do you as a healer, really, stay connected to your purpose? What motivates you to do this?
So starting with the first question, how they work together, they can work independently or they can work together depending on the circumstances or depending on a client's preference. I usually go with the client's preference, to be perfectly honest, as I'm in no position to decide what feels more aligned with someone at a given point in time. Some people may prefer to go with Reiki because it is more familiar to them. Others prefer sound healing because it is more tangible and they can see the singing bowls and hear them, obviously. And there are fewer people, I must admit, that opt for the voice spectrum analysis because it is it is interesting. It triggers the most attention, but I would say that it is less popular, and there are fewer people who actually end up signing up for an actual
Yeah.
session after they have done a consultation with me. Because with the voice spectrum analysis, it requires a little bit more time. With sound healing, you can experience the effect right away. With Reiki as well. With the voice spectrum analysis, you need to tone to a specific mantra a certain amount of time per day. The recommended is starting with 15 minutes, probably up to half an hour. And the mantra would be different depending on what frequencies are stressed or missing. And it takes a few months to get
Yeah.
to a point of where you start feeling more comfortable, where you start even being able to manifest better because that frequency is more present in your voice. So it is not a quick fix, not to imply that the other modalities are, but with them, there is a more immediate impact and there is a more immediate sense of how the energy changes the flow. For example, I recently had someone who had never experienced distance Reiki, and she signed up for one of the free sessions that I offer now. Explain very briefly what monthly specials I offer. And she was surprised to find out that you can feel the impact even through a distance. She did not believe, I guess, before she had this session that Reiki worked that well and that effectively, even when it was sent through a distance. So there are different approaches depending on what people's preferences are, and I always try to stay aligned with people's preferences. I do not like the idea that I should impose something because I perceive a situation in a
Yeah.
certain way.
Got it. Well, thank you so much for that. What else did you want to share for today? There's still so much in your notes. I want to make sure we're covering everything.
Yes, I just wanted to mention briefly, since I alluded to the free sessions, I wanted to mention that I have monthly specials for sound healing, Reiki healing, and as well as the voice spectrum analysis and the Reiki training. So what I do during these monthly specials is I basically offer free sessions up to 30 minutes for both Reiki and sound healing. The free Reiki specials are on the 3rd, the 9th, and the 18th of the month, and the free sound healing sessions are on the 5th, the 15th, and the 20th of the month. And people can find these on my website, www.astraeahealingconnection.com/specials. That's where they can look at them and book a free session if they would like to. In addition to that, I offer free consultations about Reiki training and voice spectrum analysis. As I mentioned, voice spectrum analysis is a less common modality, and it generates a lot of interest. So people get to ask questions as to what the session entails and what they might expect thereafter. And in terms of the Reiki training, I offer a brief overview of what Reiki is and how I conduct the trainings and so forth, and then answer questions depending on the level of interest or the level of experience that a prospective Reiki practitioner might have. So that is one thing. And two is I wanted to share some advice as to some people who may be brand new to this and are wondering where to start their research on energy healing. I would say let your intuition be your best guide. I know this may sound very commonplace and kind of cliche, but ultimately it is my experience that our intuition is our best guide, and it will never mislead us. The analytical mind sometimes can play tricks on us, but intuition never lies. So I would say go with what is called your gut feeling. That's one thing. And two, talk to people, and don't hesitate to turn practitioners down if they don't feel aligned. That's why I offer the free consultations, because I would like people to see me first before they decide whether or not I'm a good fit for them.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. My goodness. And, the work you're doing, you're clearly compassionate, and there's so much to helping someone's mind, body, and soul. And let me ask you also, I was reading about you do voice analysis. Could you share what that is specifically?
Yes, the voice analysis is, as I described, that modality which combines aspects of sound healing and astrology. And what a typical session entails is, as I mentioned at the beginning of the conversation, just a brief discussion. I wouldn't call it an interview. I just ask questions, and we have a discussion with the prospective client about their interests, their likes and dislikes. And I use a device, an analog device, which helps me gauge what frequencies are more present within somebody's voice as we are going through these questions that I ask. But it is not a structured interview; it's more of a conversation.
Okay.
And then once I look at these frequencies, I also look at the chart to see where there is an alignment. And I'll give you an example with myself.
Sure.
What drew me to this modality is that I decided at some point that I needed to experiment with that, and it turned out I'm a Sagittarius, and I have a lot of planets in that constellation, but it so happened that one of the missing notes was G sharp, which corresponds to the constellation of Sagittarius. And it was no wonder that I was feeling a little stuck at the time when I approached this practitioner to do the voice spectrum analysis. And I noticed that within 6 months of starting to tone, that frequency came back. And not only that, but I was able to basically establish the practice that I currently run. I did the voice analysis in March of 2022, and I founded the practice in late summer of 2022. So that gives you an example of how you can manifest through this modality. But it is also not a quick fix. It takes 3 to 6 months, and I would say probably up to a year if you wanted to see the full results.
Wow. Amazing. Thank you for this. And, we are almost out of time. We still got 3 minutes left on the show. I don't want to cut you short. How did you kind of want to sum up for today?
That's a good question.
I know there's a lot to talk about.
There is a lot to talk about, but I would go back to saying stay in tune with your body and listen to your intuition. If you're called to experience a modality, don't hesitate and look for practitioners in your area, and do your homework and try to connect with them first before you decide on someone.
Beautifully said. Thank you so much. And we appreciate your time here and joining us. And thank you for all the information.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
Well, tell us now how we can reach out to you. Could you share the website, phone number, any, I guess, forms of contact? Thank you.
Yes, the website is www.astraeahealingconnection.com, and Astraea is spelled slightly differently. It is Astraea, and then Healing Connection, as one would spell healing and connection. And my email address is info@astraeahealingconnection.com, and people can, once they're at the website, they can read my blog, they can sign up for specials if they so choose to. The website does offer some information to get them a good start.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Pleasure getting to know you. Thank you for all the information and wishing you a happy, blessed, amazing day. And to all those out there, again, please take advantage of a complimentary consultation here with Kristina. And we appreciate your time. Astraea Healing Connection, thank you. You have a fantastic day.
Thank you. You as well.
You're
Thank
so
you.
sweet. Thank you. Bye-bye.
This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.